And this is Nick Burling from BlueStripe here at TechEd. Nick, tell us about what BlueStripe is doing with System Center.
Absolutely. So what BlueStripe does is bring business application visibility and context to System Center. So what we're looking at here is the Operations Manager console. And if I'm the team that's responsible for performance and availability of our online claims processing app, now for the first time, I've got the ability to come look at the overall application's performance in terms of response times and service levels, tied directly to all of the infrastructure performance that you're used to seeing inside of Operations Manager. But it's not just about the overall application's response times, it's also the ability to expand out and look at the different tiers that make up our app, whether it's the Java application tier, our SQL Server, or Oracle database tier. And in fact, what we can see right here is even though the overall app is doing fine, our Java application tier is violating its service levels. Again, for the first time directly inside of the Operations Manager console, now I can come in and look at all of the information that I'm used to seeing in terms of unit monitors, health status, all rolled up for this one particular application. I don't have to define any of these relationships. Our product, BlueStripe Fact Finder, is automatically discovering that application and feeding those definitions inside of Operations Manager. So I can now come from a top-level dashboard to an automatically defined distributed application diagram for that same application. It's going to take all of the different Operations Manager unit monitors and health status, roll that all up in a dynamically defined distributed application map. So I can come in and I can drill in and see all of that same information I'm used to seeing in an application context. In addition, not just structure, but Fact Finder's bringing performance level monitoring on a tier by tier basis into Operations Manager. So if I come select one of our nodes here, I can see the Health Explorer for just that one component. And in fact, I can come in and see that Fact Finder is showing us that this Apache instance is violating its service levels. So let's take a quick look at some of the other areas where we add value. Because it's not just about Operations Manager, but once we have these distributed app definitions, let's say we're trying to populate our CMDB, Service Manager, with dynamically defined business service relationships. Here you can see right inside of Service Manager, there's our online claims processing app, and all of those service components have automatically been defined. The same thing holds true in terms of Orchestrator. So instead of just doing runbook automation on infrastructure-centric alerting, now I can start with the application and its performance. I can look tier by tier and see if performance violations are occurring, and I can get the correct people who own those systems involved. So now you're doing service level driven runtime automation. So to give you a quick sense of how we get this information into System Center, here's our Fact Finder console, and you can see Fact Finder is discovering all of the different systems and the connections between those systems that make up our overall environment. But where it gets really interesting is where I can come look at the list of applications that Fact Finder's automatically identified, and here's our online claims processing app. With a single click, now I can see a simplified view of just those systems that make up that app, its overall performance, and I can now drill down. I come into our Application Explorer, and I can see that what we've got here is a hybrid cloud application. We have two Azure Platform as a Service instances, one Azure Infrastructure as a Service instance, and systems back in our data center in North Carolina. I can see all the dependencies from a system-to-system perspective, but also down to the individual process on those systems. And so what we're doing is automatically discovering these apps, identifying the components, and with just a few simple clicks, we can feed that information directly into System Center to get those views that I showed you earlier. So if I come into our administration view here, all I have to do is pick an Operations Manager management server. I come in and select which applications I want to publish into Service Manager, into Operations Manager, and here you get your distributed app. You get your top-level dashboard monitoring the health and performance of that overall application. Again, with no manual definition required, and starting to feed that application visibility and context into the whole System Center family.